Hello plebs, welcome to Dead by Discussion, where we discuss all things Dead by Daylight. Now today, this is probably going to be a controversial one, just because I have a very different opinion on this perk. I think. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. But, we're going to talk about Hex Ruin today, because, you know, everybody loves Hex Ruin. It's Hex Ruin, dude. It's the perk that allows killers to play the game. If Hex Ruin did not exist, killers would not work. Like, it's just that simple. Like, this perk needs to be there because it's a staple. Every single killer build that is viable runs Hex Ruin because there is no other alternative. The amount of reward that you can get off of it, and just the fact that it can stop the gen rush. That's what it's there to do. It's there to stop the gen rush and allow you to give you a chance to build up the momentum that you need to keep throughout the game. And without this perk, the game's entirely different for killers. I'm gonna say us because you know, but it's entirely different for us if we don't have Hex Ruin. But I sit here right now. I just hit rank 8 again, so I consider myself to be in the higher levels of the game. Being red and purple. And Hex Ruin is a perk that, as you play more and more and more, like, it's a godsend at first. Like, when you hit 15, I don't want to say 15 because 15's a little early, but I'm gonna say when you hit, you know, green ranks. You hit green ranks and you get Hex Ruin. So you're playing people who are like, you're ranked, I don't know, 13. Is that a green rank? Yeah, it is. You play third rank, you're on rank 13, and you're still playing people who are like rank 16. And so, though those guys don't really know where the spawns are for the perk, and you know, all the good stuff. Some people don't even know what it is. But you get the perk and it's a godsend. Like, oh my god, this perk is so fucking good. And then you rank up, and you rank up, and then it just hits a wall. It hits a wall where it's like not as good anymore. Because one, survivors are going to start more consistently hitting great skill checks, so the regression aspect of the perk is no longer going to exist. And then and then bad spawn locations combined with the fact that survivors know the spawn locations for the totems, and half the time it spawns right next to them. You know, stuff like that. And sometimes it can legit just die in 30 seconds. Especially as you keep ranking up and you keep playing better and better players. And this perk is just, especially if you're facing SWF. If you're facing SWF, if one guy finds the totem, the whole team knows where it is. Because that's how SWF works. It's broken and you should never play against it. I still don't, because it's retarded. Except by mistake. I played against it by mistake and that was rough. But so this has led me to believe, that Hex Ruin, because Hex Ruin is not a bad perk. It's not bad. But I will not call it a good perk anymore. I will again call it, I don't know if I've ever said this before, it's necessary. I don't remember what I said that about, but that's something else. That's something else. The perk is necessary. It's not good. It's not good. The amount of counterplay that it has, it's the strongest way to control gens in the game, and it's still not even that good. And at higher levels, it's like it's the most necessary perk in the game, but sometimes it just dies in 10 seconds. And you know, things have come to try to replace it, like Corrupt Intervention, where 3 gens are blocked for 2 minutes. But you know, not as much as things will come to try to replace Hex Ruin, nothing's ever gonna replace it, because it's the strongest anti-gen perk in the entire game. But like, I don't know, even True Talent says, hey, Ruin's not enough at higher ranks for controlling gens. You have to bring 2 perks to control gens. And if you run Spear of Fury Enduring, that's your entire build. Ruin, the thing that controls gens, Spear of Fury Enduring, versus you're sacrificing barbecue and chili. So you know, it depends on who you're playing, obviously, but like, you know, I'd argue that tracking is a little bit more important than people give it credit for, because if you don't have a good route, then it's awful. Because your route's very important in the early game. Because I don't know, what I found to be working, it's not good that killers beeline right toward their hex perk, because they know that the survivors are spawning right on top of it half the time. And then even when you spawn on top of it as killer, you walk 2 feet and whispers goes off. Like, something about the spawns for it just are not as good as they used to be. Back when it was first introduced and no one knew where anything was. It's such a staple now that everybody runs it because we don't really have a choice. I see people trying to get creative and run things like, I don't know, Huntress's Lullaby to control gens. You can't do that. Like, I see people go, oh, I run Lullaby over Ruin. You can't do that. But Ruin's too necessary of a perk. But it's not good. And you see, this is like, I guess the main point of this is, I was wanting to bring up the question of what do we do about it? Do we just leave it the way it is? Because like, I mean, if if Ruin stays in the game, that's a game you're probably winning. So like, it's not bad. But like, I mean, what do we do with Ruin? Because on the games that it doesn't last very long, you're gonna get fucked. And that's just kind of the pattern. And like, I don't know, just like the idea of the game being determined on the existence of one perk, I feel like is stupid. So, what do you do with it? And like, an idea I had, I don't know, was to give Hex Ruin a slight nerf somehow. I don't know what you do with it. See, that's the problem with the concept of a Hex Totem, is they're very hard to nerf. But like, an idea that I had, to not make Ruin like so like oppressive in the metagame, I'd say, is to like, one idea I had was, I think the idea of debuffs is something that the game needs to implement. Like, if you're injured, you don't do a generator as quickly. If you have a stat, like some like, I don't know, some Chainsaw Boy add-ons do that, where like if you have a status effect or you've been hit by the chainsaw, you don't repair generators as fast for like 120 seconds or something. It's like, giving more options for gen control might save Ruin from being as oppressive as it is right now. And another idea I had was making generators take about, I don't know, 20 seconds longer to finish. These are just ideas that I'm spitballing around, just for like other anti-gen things other than Ruin. Because sometimes there are games where I hate Ruin, and wish that we didn't have to use it as much, especially when it dies. My luck with I see everybody people like to run Ruin and Haunted Ground. My luck with that combination is always the worst. Like 66%, they have a 66% chance of getting Haunted Ground, and they get Ruin every single time I play. I'm like, I wish I didn't have to rely on this hecking Hex Totem to control gens sometimes. Like, I do. But we don't really have a way to play without it right now, and that's another reason why playing Killer is more limited, because you get 4 perks and 2 of them are staples for Ruin and Barbecue, and I think, I don't know, like 70% of killers run Ruin and Barbecue on a lot of builds. Like, the reason I don't run Barbecue more right now is because I don't have it on many people. I'm still leveling everybody up. But it's just a hard life if you don't bring perks like that. Whispers is a good substitute for Barbecue, but those perks are very oppressive because they're like the best things we have. And I have said that if there is a anti-gen method in this game that is like 75% of what Ruin is, I might give it a shot. But I'm sick, if you can't tell. But I don't want to ramble on. Those are kind of the only thoughts that I had about it. It's just, do we do anything with Ruin, or do we just leave it as is? I don't know the state of the community. I don't know if people are happy with it or because like again, I'm very inconsistent on it. There's some days I'm really happy with it. There's some days I'm really not happy with it. So I don't know. I don't know if anybody else feels the way I do. I don't know. Just playing at higher ranks sucks because as you keep playing at higher ranks, even the stuff that is good becomes less good because of how oppressive the survivors can be. And you know, this game is hard, and when you feel like you don't have enough in your kits, because like survivors can go into a game knowing what to expect a little bit more than killers, I would say, just because they have probably half the knowledge of what their build's gonna be from the start. Whereas killers, we have to guess between like 5 viable exhaustion perks, and y'all know the exhaustion perks. 5 viable exhaustion perks. What items? How fast your heal's gonna be with the med kits and all that fine shit. Like you really don't know. There's really a lot more you have to guess on. And we are not in the position to be. Killers are not in the position to have weak options. And when one of the strongest options we have is sometimes a hindrance, that begs the question of, do we look at it or not? So I don't know what anybody else thinks. These are just thoughts that I have in getting inconsistent matches with Ruin. And you know, at these higher ranks, consistency is what matters, and the ability to who are you doing well with, what's working for you. Like sometimes you gotta play objectively when you're at the higher ranks, dude. And like for example, like Hag. Hag herself, like Hag's not my favorite killer to play as, but my Hag gets results, and that's why I play her in important games. And like as much as I have devolved from somebody that thought the Hag was really bad to the position I am now where I actively use her in important matches. She is one of my go-tos. My 3 go-tos for important games are Myers, Hag, and honestly the new Freddy. I really like the new Freddy too. But I don't know. I don't want to ramble on too long. I have another thing to do tonight. But those are just some ideas about Ruin, and very, very much spitballing. Maybe I'll make another one if I have more ideas. But I encourage behavior to experiment with more anti-gen stuff, because that's the meta right now. And if we can keep the generators under control, it gives us more time to deal with looping. Because it's a bit of a trade-off though. Kind of reminds me of some of the combinations of add-ons in Dead by Daylight itself. Like, do killers prioritize generator control or the ability to down really fast? And I know you need a little bit of everything, and I guess Nurse and Spirit and Billy would argue that lethality is always the superior thing. But the problem is, a lot of killers right now don't have that lethality that those 3 have. And without that lethality, we need to turn to the next best thing, which is the ability to control their objective. And when we can't really do that, because our best perk can last 20 minutes or 10 seconds. You really don't know what the perk's gonna do for you. It's kind of like what I say about the pig. Hex Ruin is an inconsistent option. It's an inconsistent option, and I still argue it's the best killer perk, because without Hex Ruin, we cannot play. It's a wonder, and you don't really know what to do with it, man. Until anything gets done with it, though, you don't really have a choice but to keep running it. So, just thought I'd get that out there. I know y'all are gonna bitch at me. I already know, but yeah, I don't care. She really wanted my attention, by the way. Oh God. Alright, well, that's all I got for this one. GG, friends.